Hello, everyone, and welcome to an audio episode of the Loud Casa Talks. My name is Nate, and alongside, on my right side, is Omid. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up, Loud Crown and Casa Crew? How y'all doing? And I just want to say, I hope you all are spending time with your dads, your uncles, your grandpas, your great uncles, your grunkles, in a sense. Yeah, pretty much. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And if you're a dad yourself and you're watching this podcast, I just want to say Happy Father's Day to you as well.
So, yeah, I know that today is Father's Day, but how has your weekend been overall?
My weekend's been pretty chill. Pretty much relaxing from my a week of my full-time job. Yesterday, I was binge watching Summer Camp Island season 4. It's really good, by the way. Such a great show. Okay. And after that, I was watching Pixar's Luca, and I really liked that movie. It was bravissimo.
Is it an Italian movie? That's the reason why you said that?
Yes. Okay. Bravissimo.
Yes. I need to watch it. I need to watch that too. I know it's on Disney Plus and it's free, so I need to have a watch party or something so I can actually check out that movie. But you know what? California opened up this week, and I went to San Francisco for the first time in forever. No lie, it was it was really weird because when I went to San Francisco, Japantown, obviously the hot spot there, there was a lot of people there. I'm like, wow, everybody's that. Well, the other thing too is they're all masked up, and some don't have their masks, but it's okay. I mean, like what, 5 out of 1,000 people that's over there. So people are still aware of the whole mask situation. So at least people are still staying safe. And to say the least, with everybody else staying safe and with their masks on, it tells me okay, I think we're gonna be all right here. So yeah, it was a good experience. Ate a lot of food. I was stuffed yesterday, so we literally drove from from my home. Me and my friend, we literally drove from my home all the way back home, all the way to San Francisco and back. It was tiring, and also I was full of food. I was like, oh, so good. And but at what cost? It's worth it though. It was worth it.
Yeah, definitely, man. As someone who has visited Japantown recently myself, I visited there last month. Nice. Yeah, it's definitely felt great to be back, and it was pretty much all the worth it in terms of the amount of food I ate and the amount of money I spent.
I was gonna say I did buy a lot of stuff there as well, so I caught up with my mangas.
Oh look, it's show and tell. Loud and crowd, we got show and tell here.
Sorry, I got mangas everywhere. So if you actually are reading these mangas, that's awesome. I've been catching up on them.
Oh my god, you got Izoken, yes.
Izoken, yeah. Keep your heads up, Izoken. So, by the way, Izoken. Anime series. Hit anime series. Watch the anime.
I love that anime series, and I remember picking up the last copy. They had the last copy of that particular volume when we went to San Jose. So I'm glad you got your hands on it.
That's right. I know you got 2, and I think they had a lot of that volume out there, so I was like, I'll pick it up. Either way, it was a fun time over J-Town. Plus, it was also an art fair there as well, so I got some decals. So that's going to head up to my car soon. So get ready for that, by the way, if you actually hit up my car later. All right, enough of that. Let's actually head over to some more Loud House and Casa Grande news, but let's actually start off with the recent news. And we actually did have some leaks about brand new episodes coming out. We got new information about brand new Loud House episodes coming soon. One looks to be most definitely be a part of that Nick Music Fest that's happening in July. That weekend pretty much has all premieres of shows from Danger Force to the Loud House, and I don't know if the Casa Grandes actually have a premiere episode yet. We have no information about that yet, but we know that it is going to happen in July because both episodes. I mean, the thing is that both episodes all reflect one Luna Loud. Obviously, it's a music freaking fest episode, which makes sense.
2 episodes, 2 Luna Loud episodes.
Of course, the guy who loves Luna Loud would obviously be excited about this. So here are the episodes. It's called Dad Reputation. The synopsis here is Luna plays in her dad's new band, and in the Nick of Time. That's in the Nick of Time and Dad's Reputation. They're both the titles of the titles of the episodes. Luna embellishes her friendship with Mick Swagger, which kind of tells you okay, this is gonna be another Luna Mick Swagger episode, and this the episode before that seems like it's going to be Luna helping out with the band that Lynn Loud Sr is pretty much rocking. So I mean, I know, obviously, I got to talk to the person who loves Lynn Loud here. How excited are you to hear about these new episodes coming to Nickelodeon?
Oh my God. It is a gift. It is a special gift from me. No, for me to from Nickelodeon. From Nickelodeon to me. Oh my God. We don't get just one Lynn Loud episode. No. We got two, baby. We got two for the price of one. Oh my God. This is awesome. Oh my God. Like, because what I've been noticing recently with this season is that, unfortunately, we get a lack of Luna episodes compared to other seasons, unfortunately. I mean, sure, there are some like Band Together, for example, but we don't get much for some reason. So it's nice of Luna Loud to make a huge comeback and, you know, make a comeback with two brand new episodes featured her, centered around the Queen of Rock and Roll.
So I'm pretty happy about this. Just the fact that, you know, we've never seen any Luna Loud episodes in season 5 since Band Together, for example. So yeah, Luna's overdue for a new episode. And it looks like from the episode, from the synopsis here, it seems that Luna's going to be taking over Lynn Loud Sr.'s band. So you know what? I think that's going to help out, because from the picture that I'm seeing right now, it seems that Luna is just going to rock with whomever plays an instrument. And obviously Luna is the one who actually plays the instrument. Everybody else there, you see Kotaro, you see what is it? You see one of Clyde's dad. You even see
Harold. It was Harold.
Oh yeah, here you go. Okay, so it's Harold. So you get to see Harold, and you also get to see Rusty's dad. So I'm like, this is a weird band to actually put in.
Rusty's dad, yeah.
Luna Loud. Yes, you have to bring Luna Loud in. So at the end of the episode, I'm pretty sure Luna's going to rock the stage and I think win a competition altogether with the guys. And then in the next episode, I think this is going to be a good one, because like we never hear McSwagger since Perfect Gig, for example. So Luna being friends with McSwagger, is this going to be a thing where like Luna's about to actually climb up and become into the stardom like McSwagger, for example? That could be a pretty interesting story if that is the real episode, that is. But yeah, that's my thoughts about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
As for my thoughts, like dad reputation, of course, it's gonna be nice to see Luna helping out her dad in this new band. You know, you got Lynn Sr. with his cowbell, of course, and then you got some of his friends. And so when they realize they're sort of lacking, of course, you got to go to Luna Loud, and you know Luna Loud is going to help them, help bring them up to the top. You know, like they're going to bring the entire band up to stardom, because Luna Loud is just that perfect. And also, in terms of In the Mick of Time, it's going to be interesting, because I feel it's going to be another life lesson for Luna in terms of her story arc to become a rock star. Like, this is going to showcase a whole new plot in which it's going to tackle what if said aspiring rock star actually hung out with the idol of her dreams, the one who inspired her to get into rock in the first place. Because think about it. If it wasn't for McSwagger, then, you know, she wouldn't have been into rock and roll in the first place.
There gotta have to be a like flashback part. There's gotta be a flashback point where I believe Luna, you know the episode for Bros About to Rock. I would imagine there'll be a flashback point where like they'll look back at For Bros About to Rock and have that moment where Luna was into songs because of McSwagger. So I hope they actually have that. That would be another sign of continuation. And I'm like, okay, good. We're progressing here. This is awesome. But still, yes. 2 Luna Loud episodes for Music Fest. So get ready for July. It seems that's going to be a really fun time for all the Luna fans out there. And of course, everyone who loves music for the Loud House.
Yes. All Luna Louds rise. All Luna Loud stands. We rise up. We celebrate. Woo!
Of course you do. Where are my Lori episodes? Okay, so let's.
You're gonna have a tough time getting back up after Ghosted.
Oh God, that's a big feat for her. It's a big feat for her.
I would imagine, like, as after you watch Ghosted, you're like, that's it.
Yeah, I know.
College episode.
Okay,
that was just a bunch of cheap ghost stories.
What Nickelodeon betrayed me.
Roundhouse betrayed us.
Look, I'm not gonna be Patchy the Pirate now, okay? All right, let's move on ahead because there are actually 2 more episodes that did also leak that tells us that there's going to be brand new episodes of The Loud House coming soon. Now, one of the episodes is, according to the title, says Much Ado About Noshing. The synopsis here is that the kids help Dad track down the mystery person who left Lynn's table a bad review online. Now, we're going to be doing a preview of this episode when we have more information about when it'll come out. But for now, what are your thoughts about how this episode will be?
This is going to be The Loud House's achy breaky heart, isn't it?
Okay, now tell me what that means.
It really is. Because think about it. Because Casa Grande's has their own episode named Achy Breaky Heart. And Achy Breaky Heart is basically about how there's this bad review of Frida's artwork. And so the Casa Grande's try to help remedy that situation by them trying to hide the review from Frida because they know how vulnerable that she is. I feel that Much Ado About Noshing, it's just going to be that episode, but Loud House version. Just replace Frida with Lynn Sr. Replace the Casa Grande family with Loud family. Replace Frida's artwork with Lynn's cooking, and this is pretty much what you get.
Yeah, I think you pretty much were on the point there because, yeah, Lynn Sr. is also dramatic as well. He also cries a lot. Well, not as much as Frida, but, I understand, like, Lynn will cry. Lynn will obviously be, heartbroken with a bad review. So he'll have the Loud kids pretty much investigate what happened. But then again, we never had, like, a huge, like, every Loud sibling actually working together and actually figuring out this problem. We never had that since, I believe, present tense, if I remember correctly.
I think so. I think that might have been it.
Yeah, so it's been a long time coming since they actually had like all the Loud siblings actually work together. Oh no, what am I talking about? Camp was the last one.
It was Camp.
Yeah, I was like, Dude, Camp was the last one. Camped. What are you talking about?
Camped, and it's the best season 5 episode, bro. Come on, it's Camped. It's season 5.
True.
Season 5 episode.
Now I forgot about it. I'm like, whoa. Now we need to actually show more about that episode because that special was actually really amazing. But yeah, get ready for that episode. We don't know when it will come out, but we'll have more information about that when it comes out. But there also was another episode that also did leak as well. It's the sister episode of that. It's a Chandler episode, unfortunately. So what are your thoughts about this Chandler episode called Broadcast Blues?
Loud House, why? Out of all the characters, out of all the supporting characters that you have to bring in to an episode, you chose Chandler of all characters. The character that nobody likes and is only the second worst of the entire series, right next to Flip. Why? Why Chandler? What can you possibly do with him? I know you're probably thinking, oh, they're gonna make Chandler redeemable, or they're gonna make Chandler and Lincoln make up, and it's like, did you not watch Cheers for Fears? Were you not robbed of the ending of Cheers for Fears? Because after Cheers for Fears, we thought that Chandler would change for the better, but no, he's just back to his old, regular, jerky, bully self. So nothing changes after Cheers for Fears. And let me tell you something, like, some people don't change, and let me tell you, Chandler's just one of those prime examples.
You know what, though? If they actually treat this episode like they did with what Rumor Has It, then maybe we have a chance with this Chandler episode. I mean, it's something that can be redeemable. I feel like, look, if you're going to have a focus episode where Chandler actually buys all your equipment and you just hope that he doesn't bully and stuff like that, then I just feel like, yeah, like look, he's pretty much taking advantage of the news team because of all the equipment he's going to buy. That he's going to get all bad because he's going to be the boss now. So I think what I'm going to see is that the whole squad, Lincoln squad, is just going to try his best to like get Chandler out. But probably there's something in his heart saying like, dude, I want to be in this club. And that made him like stay in the club. So I don't know. It has to be something where it has to be an episode where Chandler actually has like some heart. And like, that will make us like him. I mean, for example, there's that one Christmas episode, Season Cheatings. Look, Chandler was there to help Lincoln out for a price.
Yeah, but only for a price though, man. Like Chandler was still a jerk in this episode, but like I didn't mind Chandler in that episode because with Chandler, as opposed to being a plot device, as opposed to being just an obstacle to stand in Lincoln's way of something, he actually does serve a purpose in indirectly helping Lincoln learn a valuable, important lesson in that episode.
I mean, there's been so many chances for Chandler to actually like become like maybe somebody's favorite, but what kind of sucks is that the voice actor is actually saying that he's probably staying there for quite a while. So there are probably more chances of Chandler actually happening in season 5. Well, then again, you have more chances of Flip actually appearing more than Chandler. So at least Flip gets a break, and then Chandler has like one little spot to come up. At least Chandler's more tolerable than Flip to me.
Yeah, but I think the reason why is because like at least Chandler is used much less than Flip. At least Chandler's used in much more small doses. And there's the fact that at least Chandler, you can argue that Chandler is still just a kid, whereas Flip is a grown-ass adult.
True, but I mean, like, look, I'm gonna give it a chance. Like, I love the episode that before that, Much Ado About Nothing. I mean, obviously, the Loud siblings work together on this one. If I swear to God, if Lori's actually in this episode, I'll be like, okay, Lori just moved back from college, right? Please, just let it be, because I just hope Lori continues to show more in the Loud House. But unfortunately, yeah, we have another Chandler episode, and it's something that I hope would be just like Rumor Has It, where we actually loved Mr. Bullhoffner in that episode, even though it might be a little bit creepy. We actually had a little heart with Mr. Bullhoffner. It could be the same thing here with Chandler. So, I'll give it a chance. I want to see how this goes. Hopefully we could get some character building with Chandler in this episode.
Yeah, I'm not betting my chips on it. After Cheers for Fears, honestly, I'm just like, honestly, I'm not having my hopes high about this at all.
I'm having my chances. Okay, go, Chandler. Everyone's gonna hate me now. I'm gonna say Chandler's still a good guy. Let's see what happens in this episode. Hopefully, he's still not a bully.
one does not simply say "Go Chandler" in the Loud House fandom.
Okay, sure, fine. All right, but that's it. That's pretty much it for our recent news. We have a lot of new episodes of Loud House coming out, but we know that July episode is coming out in July, obviously. The Diluted Loud episodes, but the 2 episodes we just talked about, we have no date for that yet, probably August or September, so we have to stay tuned. And of course, we'll do a preview episode of that when they come out. Anyways, let's head over to our main subject, Lynn Loud Jr., which, by the way, she's here. Hello, Lynn. Welcome to the show.
Oh, hey, it's Linsanity. Hey, Loud Crowd, Cosmic Crew, wave hi to Linsanity, because it's the character we're all going to be talking about in this episode.
You're staying here, okay? Little Floof. Oh, why do people call her Floof, by the way? Is it just because of her ponytail?
I don't know. Hi, Floof.
Yeah, well, people call her Floof, and I'm like, what made you call her Floof? Is it this little Floof?
Good.
All right. To our subject, though. Okay, so you may call Lynn Jr. the most athletic character ever in cartoon history because Lynn Loud Jr. is all about sports. In almost every episode of The Loud House, you get to see her play pretty much any sport, wherever it's easy, from baseball to hardcore like football. She's pretty much tough as nails. Now, as her future continues on in The Loud House, we have to think about what her future really will look like. Because at this rate, it's just going to be something with sports. It just feels like she's just going to be continuing to compete in sports wherever it is. But which one? Is it going to be football? Is it going to be baseball, soccer, etc.? Is her future really going to be going well with sports, though? That's what we're here to do. We're going to be discussing what we think of Lynn Jr. so far and talk about what we think about what her future is going to be. So let's actually start off in season 1. Let's give our first impressions on who Lynn Sr. was. So, Lynn Jr. was. So yeah, from the first time you saw Lynn Jr., how was your first initial reactions when you first saw her?
I didn't mind Lynn all that much when I first saw her, to be honest. She's a typical rough, tough jockette who just loves to have fun doing what she loves. Kind of sort of like how her siblings have a certain passion for their own things and love to do their own things as well. Like Luna with rock and roll, Luann with comedy, Lenny with fashion. It's the same thing with Lynn in sports.
My thing is that, from the way that she's like dressed up and like she's so competitive and stuff like that, it just makes you feel like, yeah, it's all about the sports for her. Look, every time we see her in season 1, she's always like throwing a ball. She's always like going to a bicycle competition or a baseball competition. Anything that she does is pretty much a sport. Remember Undie Pressure? She pretty much like does anything with a sport, like basketball,
the lottery shoot, 2 points.
Yeah, exactly. And then like anything that she does, even let's say for example, along came a spider, that episode. She's literally like doing any sport, basketball, football, etc. So yeah, the thing is that she was just pretty much one focused as a sporty girl, and that was it. And I was like, okay, so that's all you do, really? It's just all about sports. Not really my favorite, but there has to be like some more things about her that will make me like her a lot. But you know what? She's all right with me, like into sports and things like that. That was like my first impression of like how she was.
Well, to be fair, each of the Loud sisters were pretty one note themselves at the beginning of the series as well. Like they had their own one thing that they're glued to. Um, look at the previous examples that I just brought up. It's the same thing with Lynn, because the show just started. The show was focusing on introducing us to a variety of different characters and what makes them tick and all that stuff. And I feel that the first step is introducing the Loud sisters as well as the primary thing that they're into. So I guess that's why Lynn Loud, when you see her at the very beginning, you just see, oh, she's just into sports and that's it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, from the first season on, it was pretty much just her and sports and just her being athletic, which, for those who are into athletic girls like her, that's awesome. But for me, it's like not really that impressive. Maybe for everybody else, they think she's cool. But my first impression was like, oh, you're into sports? That's cool. I'm into sports too, but like a jock girl is, whatever to me. Anyways, but the other thing too is that in season 1, she actually did have an episode, The Loudest Yard. If y'all remember, that episode is where Lynn actually substituted as Lincoln for football. And this is, I think, the first time around where we actually see like a bonding moment between Lincoln and Lynn. Those two, they're pretty much like, butting heads, but they turn out to have like a pretty cool brother-sister relationship. I think this episode actually first showcased that as they try to help each other out by having Lincoln actually do a sport that he doesn't want to do, and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, so kind of shady that Lynn pretty much did this to Lincoln, but how do you like Lynn being showcased here from this episode?
It was actually nice to see Lynn pretty much helping out his brother with his situation in which he tries to get out of playing football, which I got to be honest, that's kind of on Lincoln, honestly, because, he was being a lazy ass in the episode. Like he tries so hard to get out of exercise, but in reality, he needs exercise one way or another because, it's good for your health and all that stuff. So I was pretty disappointed by Lincoln's actions in that episode, because it's like, really, Lincoln, are you that lazy? Are you Lincoln lazy Loud? Come on. But in terms of Lynn's side, I gotta say she was quite effective in that episode. Like, sure, you can make the argument that she had her own motives for wanting to help Lincoln and help take his place, because she wants in on the football action too. Like she could be, like she said, she could use another sport. So, but then there's a side of Lynn that really enjoys not just playing, her own sport, but also sort of like helping Lincoln out in a sense. I think she was sort of reluctant to do so herself because, she also feels that, hey, Lincoln needs to play some sports himself. Lincoln needs exercise too. But at the end of the day, at the mere mention of her joining a football team, I think that's when she, really fully accepts the task.
So this episode, I think, was just more of like, how the bonding of Lincoln and Lynn are. I mean, like, yeah, they're siblings. So the thing is that, Lincoln was tasked with trying to do sports. And you know what? Lynn tried her best. She helped Lincoln try to like exercise and things like that. But of course, Lincoln is just lazy and just couldn't do it right. So he had that idea where he actually had Lynn replace him in football and of course trick them up. And then of course Lynn, being the jock that she is, she turned out to be like the star of the football team, for example. But the thing is, like, look, like I believe season 1 was all about Lincoln, and like, yeah, Lincoln gets into situations where he has to actually bring his sister along to handle the situation that was going to happen. So this is one of those situations where Lincoln had a problem, and then sisters had to come in to help him out of it. And it's like, okay, yeah, it makes Lincoln look bad, but it just tells me that Lynn is actually a really good sister, and you can totally see her competitive side of like her being so sporty, her just taking any challenge that she wants to do. I mean, like, I love the little line where she said like, I could use another league. I'm already in 4. I'm like, okay, yeah, you really love sports. Okay, we get it.
like I said, the main reason why she even agreed to this in the first place is because, well, like you said, Lynn did say herself she could use another sport. So I think like she mainly did this to pretty much help herself to play another sport. But the secondary reason is also because she wants to pretty much help Lincoln out in this,
Yeah, and like I said, like Lynn being a good sister to help out Lincoln, even if it's kind of an advantage for Lincoln because Lincoln is being lazy and stuff. Either way, I think that was actually a pretty good episode, though. Like, it just tells me like, okay, there's a bonding here between Lincoln and said sister, which makes me like the show a whole lot more. So that's it for season 1. Unless you have like anything you want to bring up from season 1, Lynn Loud Jr.
Yes, I actually want to bring up a little fun fact. Now, there's a certain cosplay that I did back when season 1 was still airing, and it was the gender bend Lynn Loud. And let me tell you, it was so fun to do. The reason I bring this up is because one of the boys, which is also a season 1 episode, had a gender bend Lynn right there, and that inspired me to do my own Lynn Loud cosplay. So, I view one of the boys as a guilty pleasure, not a great episode, but it's one is still enjoyed thoroughly. So I gotta say thank you, one of the boys, for helping me, helping me put on my Lynn Loud cosplay, for inspiring me. There you go. In a little inspiration, cosplay inspiration.
And like I said before, like, yeah, that episode was cool. But like I said, it's just mostly Lynn, just all about sports. That's what's pretty much all of season 1 to me when I see Lynn Jr. But I feel like, when we talk about season 2 and beyond, I believe things are gonna improve for her, especially if we gotta break down all the episodes from season 2 and onward. It feels like we're actually building Lynn's character, and we're gonna talk about that right now as we talk about season 2. But in a bad way first.
Season 2. Yeah, no, season 2. I have to agree.
Okay.
I disagree. I have to disagree. It's not. I don't think it's going to be season 2 when she starts to build and grow as a character. It's season 3 in which she starts to do so.
Right. But in season 2, there was like one episode that really kind of irked everybody. And while the fact that it actually irked everybody, there was actually some sort of thing that portrayed Lynn's character, and it's the superstition stuff. I think she went too crazy about the superstitions in that episode. Omi, wouldn't you agree on that? Did you like how her superstitions were pretty much what portrayed Lynn in this episode?
Yeah, so now in terms of the Squirrel episode, I feel that Lynn's superstitions, she went too far with them. I feel that the reason why her superstitious attitude did not work in this episode is because it diminished her character rather than help her develop. Because her superstitious attitude is what pretty much set up the entire conflict in and of itself, and it's what antagonized Lincoln, and it's what inspired the Loud sisters to antagonize Lincoln as well. Now, I said before that in terms of the Squirrel episode, I don't consider it the worst episode. I don't consider it one of the absolute worst things I've ever seen. It's not even top 5 worst Loud House episodes. It's top 10 for sure, but not top 5 or anything. So I feel that it's overhated, but at the same time, while Lynn was bad in this episode, I feel that the rest of her family and Lincoln himself was actually kind of worse than her because, superstitions, it's what we expect from Lynn. It is part of her character. But in terms of the rest of the family, they had no excuse whatsoever. They decided to buy into Lynn's superstitious BS because the plot requires them to do so, and because Lincoln, and even when Lincoln tries to apologize and says that he's not really bad luck, he's just faking it, the family still assumes that they're all bad luck anyway, which is like, okay, are you really that dense? Like, are you really?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? At the same
Right.
time, though, it's also Lincoln's fault because he lied in the first place. He created this lie, and so he dug himself a hole.
There's a lot of blame for this one. I believe I cannot put my beliefs on this. I'm just talking about Lynn here. This is the first episode, I believe, where we talk about Lynn's obsessive what was it? Superstitions, for example. All the things was superstitions and stuff. I think like this portrayed it very, very poorly. Just the fact that like, you know, you're bad luck because you came into my game. And now you pretty much just spread the rumor out, said that he's bad luck, and now everything just went completely apart. I think it just was absolutely terrible. How to portray how superstitions work for sports people. Because yeah, I understand some people actually like have superstitions where they like keep their socks on for who knows how long. Lynn does that, by the way. She does like things where she like throws mud across her face and things like that. Things that would make people win, for example. And there are some people in the sports world that do that as well. But this way from this episode was absolutely terrible. And I'm like, why would you do that and continue to punish Lincoln as well? You may say it's also Lincoln's fault too for that, which, you know, kind of agreeable because he actually did portray them as bad luck. So you might want to carry Lincoln on. You might have to blame Lincoln on that one. But yeah, it was just, like I said, I'm just only talking about Lynn here. It is just a bad way to actually showcase what sports people have with superstitions and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for the fact that Lynn's family weren't superstitious douchebags as well. That was the main problem.
I think the way when they punished Lincoln, it was like way too harsh. And I believe everybody kind of agreed that yeah, this is way too harsh for a person to actually like say that they're bad luck and stuff like that. I'm like, in 15 minutes too. So it was definitely one of the most hated episodes, and I would say I agree too. It was really bad.
Yeah, it's really bad, but like I said before, it's like I don't find it as bad as some other episodes I've seen, nor do I really hate it as much as everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's actually just leave it at that. We're not going to go into another deep hole with this episode. Anyways, but here we go in season 2. We also do have a big thing that we also want to talk about. Ellis for Love. Okay, look, every freaking time I'm going to be talking about every loud sister or every loud sibling, it's going to be going back to Ellis for Love. And of course, Lynn had a love interest with Francisco. Now, I kind of want to ask you, Amin, would it actually work out if Lynn and Francisco were a thing?
Yes. Honestly, after this episode, I was waiting to see what they would do with it. But unfortunately, just like most other love interests in Ellis for Love, they decided, screw you. We're like, screw him. Oh, Francisco who? Oh, San Francisco.
God.
It's like, screw Francisco. We're just going to toss him into the bin. Toss him in the forgotten bin to be forgotten about. Yep. Oh, say hi to Winston for me.
I have a chance that there was going to be something with Francisco. Now we're going to talk about also when he gets referenced later on in season 3. I don't think it was actually a real reference to Francisco, by the way. It was more like, yeah, that's going to be a thing, but you didn't do it. You actually had like some of the good ones though. You had, you know, Sam and Luna. You had Luann and Betty, which is like awesome. You guys have the great couples. Of course, Lori and Bobby already been made since episode 1 of season 1. But then, of course, you did throw away Chaz from Letty. You also did throw away Francisco from Lynn. I have to say there was potential. There was going to be potential between these two. I had like a feeling like if they're going to have another Lynn episode, they would have had it with Francisco. Now we're kind of wondering if she even has a love interest at all. So like, okay, maybe they're too young. Maybe that might be it. Maybe that's why they couldn't commit to it. But yeah, Lynn could have had a great time with Francisco. Could have had a good ship with those two. Then again, it was just really small. I mean, the big focus of that episode wasn't obviously Sam and Luna, but yeah, Francisco could have been a thing too. I don't know. It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
Wasted potential. This is like they had so much potential to work as a couple, and the Loud House writers just screwed the kid over. They screwed the poor kid over. It's like bye, see ya.
Well, they did. But okay, look, they did worse with Chaz. Okay, Chaz had a chance with Letty.
Oh God,
didn't happen.
Yeah, honestly, I think what they did with Chaz is honestly the worst offender. Like how the Loud House writers treated Chaz, it is the worst of them all. Basically, damn you, undercover mom, damn you.
Yep. I don't know why, but she's legacy to evil guys, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like Francisco's gone, and Lynn is pretty much trying to find a new love interest. Hopefully soon in season 5. Who knows? Junior high is gonna give some high potential. Anyways, we'll continue on with season 2 because there's another episode. There's another episode that also kind of like got me a little irked about Lynn, and that was Leonard Takes All. We actually get to see the competitive side of Lynn here, where, look, she continues to win games. She ended up getting like 300 wins, and, she gets all cocky. And, and if she loses, she starts to get even more cocky, trying to win games and stuff, even trying to be competitive in everything. Then she wins again, and she still gets cocky in the end. To say the least, she's a very competitive girl. We get it. That's the point of the episode. But did you like how competitive she was in this episode? And did you enjoy how you saw Lynn Jr. in this?
Okay, I'm going to be frank with you all. Leonard Takes All is the worst Lynn episode by far.
That's a big call.
Worst.
That's a big call there.
Yes, it's so much worse than the Squirrel episode. So much worse. And I'll never say otherwise. I absolutely hate this episode with a burning passion. And of course, one major reason in particular is, of course, Lynn herself. Now, strangely enough, my problems with Lynn and Leonard Takes All are similar to some people's problems with Luann and the April Fool's trilogy. However, for me, it was different. And it's something that I can actually defend. And I say I very much enjoyed Luann because in those episodes, it showed Luann's genius side, where she shows her passion for pranking by coming up with all kinds of creative and crazy ways and scenarios to prank her family. With Lynn's portrayal, on the other hand, the entire episode was just 10 straight minutes of, hey, look at me, I'm better than you, I win, woo, I win. It's like, shut up, Lynn, shut the flip up. So annoying. She just came up as annoying, obnoxious, and just mind-boggling. I don't mind her being a bad sport. I just mind her like doing this for 10 straight minutes, non-stop. I just mind her not learning from it properly. But because here's the thing, you got Lynn, who after losing a game, she starts going on a tangent non-stop, going, oh, I can do this better than you, I can do this better than you, I can do that better than you. And I'm just like, will you just chill out? Will you just shut up and take this loss for God's sake? But then I think the most insulting thing was the ending, because I feel that on the Loud side, what you could have had was that you could have had the Louds banning Lynn from attending any of the sporting events, any of the game nights, because of this attitude. Because if the Louds, imagine this, imagine if Lynn had decided to play a game with them again, and then the Louds said, oh, sorry, you're banned from game night. You need to think about, your attitude and stuff like that. And then you give Lynn a moment to reflect, to rethink about her past actions, her past attitude, her past cockiness, and then it builds up to her apology. I'm just like, if they had done that with the ending, it would have been much more tolerable, and it would have made this episode much more bearable. But no, it was just 10 straight minutes of Lynn, just going on and on and on with this, annoying attitude. And then at the very last second, right when Lynn learns that, that they threw the game, she then all of a sudden, at the very last minute, she goes, oh, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. And even then, it was pretty half-assed because, she was like, yes, first to apologize. And I'm just like, Lynn, what did they just say to you? What did they just tell you? And then you got the ending where it's like, okay, good game. And then she storms outside, And of course, like, she makes an ass out of herself again, but it's totally different now because it's not to their faces, but instead it's out in the open public where all her neighbors could see and hear her clearly. And then the Louds decide, at least it's not to her faces. And I'm just like, okay, that was a pretty half-assed take on a lesson if I've ever seen it. Okay, because it still doesn't change the fact. It still doesn't change the fact that she was still gloating. It still doesn't change the fact that she was making an ass out of herself again. It still doesn't change the fact that she was, cheering out loud, gloating, cheering her victory out loud where everybody could hear it. But it's outside. Now, you can make the argument, like I've heard some arguments saying that, she should have went up into the room and the Louds shouldn't have peeked at the window, and that's on the Louds. And I get that argument. I get it from some defenders. But the thing is, what Lynn did on Lynn's side is not good as well. Because like I said, it's outside, out in the open public, and the Louds are just like right there next to the window. So yes, I absolutely hate this episode. To me, it's one of the worst Loud House episodes I have ever seen. It is just so obnoxious, so aggravating, and it's just the most annoying episode I've seen in the Loud House. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
This is, I think, one of Lynn's episode's worst, but not the worst, like what Obi pretty much said there for like 5 minutes. But yeah, Lynn really didn't actually learn anything from this episode. Look, she's a cocky person. Like, I get it. She's competitive and she wins every game. So she'll boast about it that she won 300 times. And of course, it's going to hurt the Loud's feelings. So they try to, look, the whole episode said to try their best to make her lose. And they did make her lose. And still, Lynn continues to be cocky, trying to be better. And I'm like, okay, I guess every time you lose, you're going to be acting like that. This is not how sport people do. I mean, like, you take a loss every now and then. You can't just, take a win and just boast it immediately and stuff like that. This is not how characters are supposed to be. I'm guessing, like, if you actually had Lynn just say, like, good game and then end the episode there, that's awesome. But she still ended up being cocky at the end. I'm like, okay, so she didn't learn anything at all, did she? So that was kind of a waste.
She learned nothing. So it turns out Lynn Loud learned nothing.
It's a waste.
This is not the first time
it was a waste.
Say that.
Yeah, it's a waste. And I'm like, wow, Lynn. I mean, like, yeah, I get it. You're a very passionate sports character. Like, you love sports and stuff, but you love being in competitions. Your competitive side is way too overwhelming for you, for example. And yeah, this kind of just tells me how Lynn is. Like, competitively, she's not. You don't want to mess with her when it comes to competition, because if you actually beat her, she'll try to beat you back with something like better. And I'm like, yeah, this is not how being like, what is how you say this? Being in good sportsmanship, having good sportsmanship and stuff. That's not how you're supposed to be. But I'm guessing Lynn is learning. I don't know about that. It just feels like this isn't like something that Lynn should do. But still, like I said, Lynn learned nothing from this episode. It just felt like Lynn just absolutely went all competitive and just made me look bad. It just made it look bad for her.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But thankfully, the next season is where we start to see Lynn's growth, start to see Lynn's development, start to see Lynn actually learning lessons.
Right, and that's why season 2, that was actually the last episode of season 2 that we actually portrayed Lynn. So to say the least, did anything else from season 2 make you want to talk about how Lynn Jr. was?
Yes. I just have to say, like I said, thank God for season 3. For actually stepping up in terms of Lynn's character, because I gotta be honest, like, the first 2 seasons, like, she wasn't that great, especially season 2. Like, season 2 was Lynn at her worst.
I think so too. I just feel like Lynn just really didn't cement herself as a great character over there back in season 2, because you still see the same old sporty Lynn. And the thing is that we do get to see a little bit of more characteristics for Lynn, her being superstitious, her being very competitive, and her having a love interest. But I don't think it actually did anything better for Lynn's character. It just felt kind of flat. Because, you may have liked Lynn back in season 1, but in season 2, it really didn't actually make me think that Lynn was actually a better character to say. I mean, I was still a fan of Luann, but then, in season 2, I started to slowly grow into loving Lori, for example. So, yeah, I mean, still, Lynn really didn't actually like cement myself actually saying like you're a really good character. It kind of made it worse to me because like what you're very competitive, your superstitions are way too crazy. This makes me think that Lynn actually was on the decline from season 2.
Yes, but thankfully, she started to get an incline. Like,
No, sorry to get better. Yeah.
Started to get better. Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes sense as we actually could talk about more of season 3 of Lynn Jr. But yeah, I have nothing else to say about Lynn Jr. in season 2. It just feels like I said, it just made her character worse in season 2. So let's actually just hop on to season 3, and let's actually talk about one episode. Well, we're going to talk about a lot of episodes in season 3 about Lynn Jr., but the first one that actually came out of that was Net Gains. And this is actually the first time I actually see Lynn. You can understand like how she is. She can be a little bit selfish. She can want to just run the team by herself. But in the end, she actually does learn that teamwork really matters. So in this episode of Mead, how did you like Lynn portrayed here?
Okay, now this is how you do an episode with Lynn actually learning a legitimate lesson and actually learning it properly. And in this case here, she learns to be a good teammate. She learns to be a good teammate. And this is done very well here. And with Lynn's episode where she learns to pretty much adapt to teamwork, pretty much learning to be a team player, learning that it's not just her team, it's all their teams as well. It's everyone's team as well. I really do like how we usually see, like, in the beginning, we see Lynn as her, usual cocky self, her usual, obnoxious self, pretty much being like, hey, pass me the ball, or it's all about, me and all that stuff. So, like, now, thankfully, it wasn't 10 straight minutes of that. It was just, like, for half of the episode, at least, it was just, Lynn showing her, not so appealing side of her jockey self. But however, the ending is executed here like really well, because like after Lynn gets a taste of her own medicine and pretty much gets shafted by the 2 other like tall teammates, that's when Lynn realizes that how it feels, that she apologizes to her team wholeheartedly, and she really means it. And you could tell that Lynn feels really guilty about her actions, and she decides to pretty much change and become a team player, in which we've seen in like the last 3 minutes of the episode. And we've seen her genuinely improve. We've seen her genuinely change. Like, she doesn't go back to being this me person. No, like, we've seen how much she's grown, like since the beginning of the episode. We've seen how much she's truly changed. Like, and the lessons learned for her all the way through to the end. So honestly, I thought that this was a much better episode, much better executed Lynn episode, unlike the previous episode we talked about.
Like Leonard Takes All. Yes, I know. She was selfish back then, but then again,
such a migraine.
Then again, in this episode, she also did show her selfish side again by just pretty much taking all the shots, doing all the work, and not actually passing a ball to any of the teammates, for example. So that obviously like made the teammates hate her. Pretty much everything was going to be all about her until like she starts seeing stuff like, okay, I understand now that everyone's going to guard me. Everyone's going to like make me. Everyone's going to obviously look for me. You should have actually just they could have like looked for other people instead, but. I love how Lynn was trying to like say like, yeah, I'm so selfish, but at the same time, like, I'll try my best to at least like have some more teammates that can work better. So she ended up getting the teammates, and I love how the teammates actually teach her the lesson, saying like, yeah, we're the ones who actually can work for you. We don't want to have like a jock like you who's pretty much small, can't do anything, take over the team, to say. So what I love is that in the end, she does learn the fact that she learns that teamwork is what really matters. Even if they did get blown out in the last game, they still have a good chemistry together, that they're all working together. And you know what, this helps out Lynn. This helps me improve Lynn. This helps me like see Lynn's character improving. She's not the selfish character anymore. She's actually now a team player, and that just tells me like, wow, this is absolutely growing for her. Like we're seeing that character growth for Lynn. And I'm like, okay, I'm actually on the ride here. I'm actually happy that Lynn is actually learning something here. So yeah, this episode really did change my little viewpoint of how Lynn Jr. was. And she definitely showed off how to be a team player, definitely here in this episode. Plus, we also see Paula. Paula now became a staple character for Lynn. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know Paula would actually still stay this long. She could be one of those people that could get shafted, unlike the rest of the teammates that were shown in this episode.
Yeah, side note, I really love Paula. Honestly, like she's my favorite out of Lynn's sporty friends. Like I really enjoyed her character. And not just because it's Cree Summer bias. Like I honestly really enjoyed her from the moment I've seen this episode.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And like I said, this definitely has an improvement for Lynn, and I definitely was all right with that. Now, although in the next episode we're going to be talking about, it was kind of like, okay, I'm kind of confused. Was this supposed to be something that would help Lynn out, or was this more of like Lynn continuing to be like a selfish Lynn? Because Sitting Bull was Lynn's actual first job, where she took on the responsibility of babysitting. And look, throughout that whole episode, we're kind of thinking like, yeah, Lynn cannot handle babysitting, and at the same time, you kind of sabotaged your sisters. And also, you also did take the task of actually taking care of like really rough kids, but you ended up actually succeeding in that, and that's your new babysitting job. So I'm confused. Did we learn something from Lynn here at all? Or, I don't know, what do you think when you watch Sitting Bull?
You know, in terms of Sitting Bull, I have to say, like, it's right there in the middle. I would say it's not one of the best Lynn episodes I've seen, not one of the worst either. It's just, you know, it was fine for what it was. I felt that Lynn was way too rough with the kids, though. Now, this is a brand new take on Lynn Loud, because we're finally getting a Lynn-focused episode that revolves around something other than sports. Like, this is a whole new different thing. This right here revolves around babysitting, which, of course, is outside of the realm of sports. However, you know, unfortunately for Lynn, due to her thinking about everything as a sport, you know, she gets in her mind, she lets the babysitting get to her head, and she confuses babysitting them with coaching them. So you can imagine that her first try, it does not go so well at all. Like the two kids were pretty much suffering because of her. Now, although Lynn didn't mean to make them suffer, like at the end of the day, because of her rough actions, because of her not babysitting the kids so well, you know, pretty much the sisters decide to kick Lynn out of the babysitting club, which is totally understandable. They got to protect their reputation. And so later on, you got like the older sisters tricking Lynn into babysitting the Fox Quins, so that Lynn can quit babysitting. But it turns out she was actually quite effective with them, because hey, you know, tough kids being babysat by a tough babysitter, it sort of works. It goes hand to hand. So I really do like how like pretty much it shows how there are different types of kids in terms of how easy or hard they are to handle. And I like how you know, with Lynn being the rough, tough older sister of the bunch, you could tell that she's very fit to handle these kind of kids.
Yeah, and you know, I kind of feel bad about the fact that Lynn actually sabotaged, like, you know, her bigger sisters, just because, you know, she's not getting any babysitting job. That I think was one where I'm kind of like, Lynn, why did you do that? You know you're not fit for it. Are you just being jealous of your sisters? That's why you did that. And that kind of got me back into saying, okay, going to dip on Lynn. She's not that great. But, you know, taking a task of actually coaching like quintuplets, like what she did here in this episode, I feel like it was, I think, medically necessary. I think it was like more like, yeah, Sitting Bull definitely having the quintuplets actually having Lynn actually taking care of the quintuplets and actually having them coach them, I think really works out, because they are really rough kids. I mean, you can totally see that from like the past experiences that the bigger sisters had with Lori and Letty and Luna and Luann having their issues with the quintuplets. They needed like a really tough person, and Lynn is a tough person. So it makes sense to actually have her take over and actually take care of these quintuplets, which actually turned out to be her new job. But still, like in the beginning, yeah, I understand the fact that in the beginning, yeah, look, coaching and babysitting is not the same thing. Lynn had to learn that. And still, that whole sabotaging of the sisters was one thing that I kind of hated about Lynn. But you know what? It did improve at the end of the episode. And I would say it was a pretty decent episode. Like really a pretty good Lynn episode just to see her improve.
I agree.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, yeah, definitely one of the Lynn episodes that I think was, you could totally see a change of her character, but to say the least, like, you can see how tough she is, especially when it comes to a big task like taking care of those quintuplets. So let's actually move on. And what I think would be Lynn's probably best episode of ever in the Loud House, and that would be Middlemen. Now, this one, I have to say, look, it was more focused on Clyde and Lincoln because, yeah, they're heading over to junior high, which they are now, season 5. But what I didn't expect was a flashback to the past of how Lynn was when she actually entered a junior high, and it turned out she was absolutely bullied. And wow, I didn't know a huge backstory that Lynn Jr. had back then, but I think it was something that we actually need to reflect on because it shows that Lynn talked about her past, and by talking about her past to Lincoln, she's actually helping Lincoln out instead of what she did, where Lincoln was pretty much like about to be bullied with some junior hires. Anyways, how did you like Lynn portraying it from this episode?
I'm going to definitely say this. This was Lynn at her best. Yes. I'm going to say right now, this Middlemen is Lynn Loud at her absolute best. And yeah, sure, you can argue she didn't play as big of a role as Lincoln and Clyde did, technically, because it's more focused on Lincoln and Clyde. But let me tell you, the role that she played in this episode was definitely the most significant of the bunch, nonetheless. Her backstory really helps flesh out her character and gives us a deep reason why Lynn is the way she is, why she trains herself to be the strongest player of her teams, why she plays rough with others, why she can be tough on Lincoln at times. It's to help toughen him up so that he doesn't have to go through the same experiences she did. And it's to help toughen herself up as well so that she doesn't end up being bullied again, so that she can stand up for herself when the time comes. When the world fights, she fights back. It's that sort of thing that sort of makes Lynn, in a sense. You know what I mean? So I'm really glad that they brought up this story because honestly, this is actually quite a backstory that we've been waiting for the longest time. Like ever since, especially season 2, we've been waiting to see what makes Lynn the aggressive jockey that she really is. And like this episode gives a clear backstory, gives a clear insight into Lynn's character. And honestly, I just have to say, thank you, Middlemen, for giving us what we've been asking for. And of course, thank you, Lynn, for, explaining why, she is the way she is. And, and of course, we know, like after this episode, we know that, Lynn's actually doing Lincoln a service. Lynn's actually helping Lincoln out by toughening him up. Yeah, sure, the stick-in name call may be a bit much at times, but like I said, it's to help toughen him up so that he doesn't go through the same traumas, the same experiences that Lynn went through. So honestly, this was definitely much needed for Lynn's character, and that's why I love Middlemen. And Lynn is the best part of his, hands down. It's just like absolutely the best Lynn Jr. episode. I agree.
So throughout the episode, like you see Lynn just try to work with Lincoln because she was pretty much like the advisor of Lincoln, just looking at Clyde, just seeing how they were going to do in junior high. But when they went to their free time, you see Lincoln just pretty much messing up. Lincoln and Clyde pretty much messing up, and they're going to get bullied at the end of the day. To say the least, yeah, Lynn's tactics didn't work, but to say the least, this is from her experience. And you know what? You may think that she has done like some advice that may have hurt her brother, but no, it actually did help her brother out because it was something where, Lynn just reflected back to her first time in junior high. She got bullied. She went through all this trauma-inducing experiences that she had to actually talk to Lincoln and Clyde about this experience. And, they have to learn from, that junior high isn't really like, there to make friends for the first time, like what Lynn had to go through. And you know, it's just Lynn being a good sister and all. And I think this is actually like one of my best episodes, just because, you know, you could just continue to see Lynn and Lincoln, you know, fight sometimes, where Lynn would, like, you know, fight Lincoln on some points, bully, you could quote unquote bully, but I believe it's just more of like a sibling thing. But come on, I mean, this one I have to say is like, hey, she's there to back up Lincoln, and she's there to help him out, especially when it comes to a big task where he actually has to go to junior high soon. So with that in mind, it just tells me that Lynn is just being the big sister she is, and it definitely showed here, especially with the fact that we actually saw her backstory, and it's like, wow, I never expected Lynn to be so, you know, so you might say she may have been tough before going into junior high, but you know, her toughness wasn't enough, especially joining into a brand new league like junior high.
Yeah, honestly, like after this episode, we thought that Lincoln would pretty much have just as much rough time in junior high when like he would enter as Lynn did here. But from what we've seen in season 5, Lincoln does go through trials and tribulations, but like not as bad as Lynn, but like from a future episode that we're going to be talking about, like Lincoln has his own traumatic experiences.
But he can handle it. But he could handle it now. Maybe it wasn't because of Lynn, but it's more like the thing that he learned from Lynn may have actually like boosted his confidence going into junior high.
I think so. I think it's more like especially what we've seen from Lincoln's "We Got This" song. It tells how, you know, Lincoln's really confident about getting through junior high, despite the fact that his friends, on the other hand, are not very confident at all. But Lincoln does try to encourage them. So I would say that Lincoln goes through bad experiences as well, but like different past experiences as opposed to Lynn's.
Right. But then again, like, you look, Lincoln is a guy. He's a big brother, and he has his own likes when it comes to junior high. Lynn may have had a different story, but you know, just a little sidetrack of actually seeing her backstory just tells me like the experience that she has in junior high, I think, is just traumatizing, and it's something that Lynn, you know, needed to show to Lincoln, and I thought that was just absolutely great for her to become a big sister to help out Lincoln, her little brother. So let's move on to the next episode in season 3. This one, I think, was one that I thought, well, you know, you never see this from Lynn. In Here Today, Gone Tomorrow, we see a new side of Lynn where, yeah, the fame is pretty much gone from you. It went to your best friend, and you get really, really jealous, and then you want the fame back. And of course, there's a lot of beef that happens with that. So when you saw this episode, Amin, how'd you like Lynn in her jealous side here?
Okay, first things first, I want that loud rebound. Give me that loud rebound.
Look, it's a good sandwich. Yes, I get it.
It's a great burger, man.
It's not called jalapeno Paula. I want the jalapeno Paula.
Loud rebound is the best name and the story. I always took a loud rebound. But in terms of this episode, I'm gonna have to say this is actually interesting to me because it's actually a brand new lesson for Lynn to learn, because it shows what happens when you get the spotlight taken from you. Like, pretty much we've seen Lynn's always been the star athlete ever since a very young age. So she's used to having the spotlight on her own because she's had it for so long. But this episode shows what happens when the spotlight finally gets focused on someone else. And, you know, Lynn was at first okay with it, of course, but then I think it was at the point where everyone idolized Margot. Pretty much everyone was sort of like rubbing in like Margot's, you know, kick, like right in front of Lynn. And, you know, like the more Margot gets special treatment, the more jealous Lynn gets. And pretty much we've seen her jealous side, of course, through her veins, her literal veins, the pulp veins. And, you know, of course, it builds up to a point where she herself tries to make a big play as well that could get the spotlight back. And when she does get the spotlight back, you know, she becomes very obnoxious about it. Like, even like when Margot first got the spotlight, she was actually quite humble. She was actually quite cool with it. Like she played in a much more cool way. She didn't play in an obnoxious or annoying way. Whereas Lynn, on the other hand, when you see her get the spotlight back, you know, she she pretty much says she pretty much boasts about it. She pretty much gloats about it. And Margot, understandably, is very frustrated with her. And I gotta say, Margot, I definitely have to agree with what Margot's feeling because because at the end of the day, this was her moment. Like this was her moment, and Lynn could have been more supportive because when Lynn always had the spotlight, Margot was there like cheering her on. But when the tables have turned, like Lynn just can't have Margot's moment. I mean, really. But I think that it's when, like I said, it's when Margot's gets a huge reputation that Lynn gets jealous of that. Like I said, and I do like how in the end, like Lynn actually learns another valuable lesson in terms of being an athlete because it shows how you got to have others have the limelight, the spotlight sometimes. So I do like how Lynn generally learns this lesson. Oh, of course, I love when Paula gets the spotlight at the end. It was just so fantastic. Holla for Paula, baby.
Holla for Paula. I want that sandwich now. So no doubt about it. This is a new side of Lynn that I never expected to see. A jealous side of Lynn, where look, the spotlight is on her. It's cool that she's always like the Royal Woods like hero, like sports hero to say. But when the spotlight goes to Margot, and FYI, this is her best friend, by the way. This is her best friend who she's been hanging out with, she's with sports with her, and let her have her spotted fame. It's just interesting how Lynn just starts to get all jealous about her best friend, and then she starts to get all aggressive and starts to take the spotlight away from her. And of course Margot gets hella angry about that to Lynn. It's like, why you can't just get the spotlight away from you, even for me? This isn't cool, Lynn. And of course, yeah, the apologies come in and go, even working with an awkward like goal that had Paula actually score the goal, which I thought was amazing.
Yes.
No, it was like more of like, Lynn needed to learn this just because, dude, the jealous side of you is not cool. Like you can have the spotlight can be taken away from you at any time. Like have Margot have her chance. You're still going to be the same old sports hero and everything, but yeah, it was just so weird to see jealous side of Lynn, and it was just the endearing ending of it all. Just the fact that they're friends again because the pressure of being the hero of the sports team is gone. It's now to Paula, and yeah, it just makes you feel like maybe Paula now is having all the fame. I don't know, but to say the least, friendships should not be broken just because your fame is pretty much like all taken away from you. And yeah, the jealous side of Lynn is something that was just so new to me. And I think from this episode on, being jealous, I think was pretty much like, over for Lynn. Because jealousy really does get the worst out of you. And I think from every future episode on, we never see Lynn being that jealous. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. It really does show how Lynn's character genuinely progresses. Like she doesn't revert back to her old jealous self. She doesn't end up making the same mistakes from previous episodes, which I really like, by the way, because like I said, it shows genuine character growth for Lynn. So I'm really glad that she genuinely moved past this. I'm really glad that all these Lynn episodes have different lessons to learn. I really do, because each and every single one of them are different lessons that revolve around what she loves, which is being an athlete.
And I believe throughout all of season 3, it was really just Lynn improving. Am I right on that?
Yes. We finally see Lynn progressing. Like, honestly, this is what we should have gone. Season 3 is what season 2 should have been in terms of Lynn's character. Hell, I would even say season 1, but then again, season 1, its main purpose of that season was to introduce the characters and what they love, and that's it. But I feel that with season 3, it was about freaking time that they did it, and I am so glad that they did. Makes me very proud of Lynn for finally legitimately growing as a character.
And I believe from season 3 and beyond, I believe all these next episodes that we're going to be talking about really do improve Lynn's character a whole lot. In season 2, I think it was the absolute worst because it just makes her look like a jerk. In season 3, I think it was just the beginning of how Lynn is starting to become a very good sportsmanship character, how to become like a good sport instead of actually, becoming such a jealous person and a person that you will probably hate in sports. Which reminds me, we're actually going to be talking about this next episode, Good Sports. Yeah, we're a good sport. Get it?
Yes.
So, yeah, look,
major props.
Look, no, I'm kind of weirded out about this one because, yeah, look, Mr. Grouse is pretty much now your sports buddy. But you have other sports buddies, right? Isn't Marco a big fan of sports? Isn't Paula a big fan of sports? Maybe you could have actually had like maybe you could have had a partner with them. And then you had Mr. Grouse. So, interesting little point there. Either way, it did have a good bonding moment between Lynn Jr. and Mr. Grouse. How did you feel about watching Good Sports?
Honestly, I really do like this episode. It was a chill Lynn episode, and from all of the extreme sports episodes that we get of Lynn, it's nice for Lynn to sort of like kick back, chill, and just watch some good old fashioned sports. You know what I mean? Like take a break from playing sports and then just get to watching sports. I really do like that because it sort of like mirrors me in a sense, like how like I love watching NFL, I love watching NBA, and whenever I need a sport buddy, like as of now, like sometimes it'll be my brother. Whenever I go visit him, I would watch sports with my brother because he's a major sports fan. But whenever I watch sports here at home, whenever I need a sports buddy, I can always count on this guy right here.
Of course, me, yeah. I always go down to your house. Now that we're post-pandemic, I'm pretty sure we're going to be watching more NFL games now together. By the way, at the end of August, we're going to be rivals. Just a heads up.
Yes. Like this episode. Like this picture.
Like this picture. Oh, my God. Yeah, they're rivals
like
too.
This
meteors and volcanoes. Yeah. Apparently, these two were rivals. And I love the fact that, like, when they were rivals, like they obviously like boast to each other, by the way. And I understand like Lynn's point where she's like hella angry and then she has to like storm out of there because she's a volcano fan, not a meteors fan. So it's like me, whenever you come to my house, you wear your Raiders gear and I wear my Niners gear all around the house, and you're probably gonna be like all on my face when the Raiders like start scoring touchdowns, and I'll be like, no wait, you get out of my house. It's my house. Get out of here.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. But
no,
yeah,
honestly,
I mean, go ahead.
No, you.
But yeah, I mean, like, yeah, this is just absolutely kind of relative, just the fact of us. And the other thing too is like, yeah, I can totally see myself in Lynn's shoes. Like, yeah, I have people who I have rival teams with, and sometimes I will get angry that they do some random crap on my team. But you know what? I have to be a good sport. Get it? Good sport. And just acknowledge, that they're a good team, and we have to, settle with that. It's pretty much like, and the other thing too is like, Lynn, they have not have like good friends that actually like sports. I mean, even the sisters don't even like sports. So who do you got to go to? Obviously, somebody that actually loves it, Mr. Grouse. I thought Paul would be a good option. I thought Margot would be a good option, but no, they're not there. I guess they don't like sports. Either way, they're playing sports. But yeah, I feel like this is a good connection between like two people that we never expected to actually like hang out. So Lynn Jr., Mr. Grouse, big sports fans. So, it just kind of reflects us, like how we are as sports fans. We love watching sports. We love to like be interactive, just like what they did here in this episode. So it's a learning lesson for us, and also character building definitely for Lynn to pretty much accommodate to any rival that she goes to.
Yeah, honestly, I have to say that it was actually quite surprising that she didn't hit out Margot or Paula or anything like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, where's Margot and Paula? I'm like, I want them to actually watch sports with Lynn.
But you can make the argument that maybe they live far from Lynn, or maybe they're watching sports with their own families, or maybe maybe she didn't feel like going to their places or something like that. I don't know. But I think what really surprised me was how Lynn didn't hit up Lynn Sr. Isn't Lynn Sr. a sports fan himself? I'm kind of surprised that like there isn't a good sports episode where she bonds with her dad, Lynn Sr., and they watch sports together.
Yeah, I don't know if actually Lynn Senior actually watches sports. Maybe for a little bit, maybe like one episode. Well, yeah, he does because he actually watches it like late in the Longest Yard. But
Totes and Tiaras. Totes and Tiaras. He has a
Oh, that
sports
too.
channel.
Yeah, the sports channel.
Totes and
Oh,
Tiaras.
see, no continuation there. We're having to the sports love, huh? Lynn Sr. It would have been cool to actually have the. It's actually cool to have the both Lynns actually watch sports, but you know what? I believe like Lynn may have been too busy or something like that. Look, he's running a restaurant, so it makes sense to have a neighbor like Mr. Grouse do.
That's what I'm thinking. Because I would imagine on Sundays, Lynn's table can be busy as hell. So I would say Lynn Sr. at least has an excuse.
Maybe, yeah. I think well, either way, I mean, like I said, it's a potential to actually like have two characters that never meet become good friends, and this is a good episode to do it because they both love sports.
Yeah, I really do like that. I like how we get to see this side of Mr. Grouse that we have seen recently, where he bonds with each of the Louds. Like first, we see Mr. Grouse bonding with Lynn, and just recently we've seen an episode of Mr. Grouse and Lola. So I'm just wondering who he's going to bond with next.
Ooh, that's a good question, actually. Maybe any other. I would actually be surprised if like Mr. Grouse and Lincoln actually has like a really like full on bonding episode.
Technically, they did sort of bond in the ending of 11 Louds to Leap In, but that's really about it. It's like we want to see a full-on episode of Lincoln and Mr. Grouse being friends.
Maybe they like share same interests together. That was more of like, yeah, Lincoln trying to help Mr. Grouse. I think this is like more of like they want to have an episode where they both like love something and they should, you know, do it together in 15 minutes.
Yeah, like maybe have Mr. Grouse be interested in magic. Like
ooh, yeah,
maybe
that'd be pretty good. Ooh.
I would imagine Mr. Grouse being interested in magic.
That would be a really interesting little episode. But then again, like, you know, we don't know what the writers are gonna do. so let's move on to another episode. So yeah, Good Sports was great because it was more of Lynn and Mr. Grouse like bonding. Although we want to go back into Lynn's love life again. Singled Out was another shot at love, I would say, for Lynn Loud. And yeah, look, I understand the whole episode where like the rest of her teammates are pretty much all in love with their significant others, and Lynn never has one. So it makes sense why Lynn gets so jealous that she has to like force another guy to pretty much bond with her for like not being left out and anything like that. So what do you think about how Lynn was in this episode?
Honestly, like I've been in her shoes. I could totally relate to Lynn because like I've had friends who are in relationships too. Like a few of my close friends are in relationships themselves. Some of my other friends are single, so thank goodness for that. So I've been in this position where I'm just like, okay, everyone's with a single something. Everyone's with a special someone, and I'm just here single, all that stuff. Not that it's a problem for me, but in an instance where she has felt left out because of it, I'm just like, you know, I think I've been there once or twice, you know, so I could totally understand how she's feeling.
I mean, the fact that she's like a third wheel to anybody that's like a couple over there. She's pretty much like an eighth wheel in this, or ninth wheel in this case, because like everybody there. Ninth wheel. Nice. Look, that's gonna pile up, and that makes sense why Lynn had to like force Dexter to, you know, hang out with her, become her quote unquote boyfriend. And you know what? We learned something from Lynn here in this as well. Like she's not into the bushy stuff, like what the other couples are doing. So you know, yeah, she forced this, and she doesn't like this. It's kind of like an experimental thing for Lynn, like to get into a relationship and not get into that. Although I have to be honest here, this would have been a shot for Francisco to come back, but they never did that.
Yes. Yeah. Honestly, I'm just thinking to myself, but what about Francisco?
Wait. Didn't Liz say something about that? It's like, yeah, I thought I had a crush before, but I thought I just had a stomachache or something.
No, it was. Oh my god! It was such a dumbass excuse. Apparently it was that she was dehydrated.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
That's totally a cop out. That's a half-ass cop out. Come on, Lynn. Come on, Lynn Sanity. Dehydrated? Really? That's the best excuse you could come up with?
So poor Francisco, who actually thought she had a shot with it. I'm like, no, it has to be more than that.
Again, the Loud House writers are like, Francisco who? Francisco who? Oh yes, San Francisco. I know that city.
But yeah, I mean, like, look, I'm in the same situation as Lynn. Like, I understand there are people who are into couples and stuff like that, and I'm single myself. The thing is that yeah, it can get very aggressive, where I could get a little bit jealous of people who are into relationships and things like that. But into mushy stuff like this, like, it may not be me. I don't know. But we'll see later. Like, I understand how Lynn is just really arrogant, especially when it comes to like being the ninth person left out of a group of couples. So it makes sense why Lynn had to do this. And she tried her shot at love, but it never worked out. Either way, I think it was like a learning lesson for people who are single.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, this was an episode I could definitely relate to because I've been in Lynn's shoes before. And honestly, I like how this was an experimental take on Lynn's character because it focuses on something that is outside of sports. This focuses on being single, like being the only single one out of all your friends who are in relationships themselves. So they have more time for them. They have more time for you. Like, I can understand why Lynn felt left out. I can understand why Lynn had to go the aggressive way she did. And I understand why, why she had to drag along like Dexter, who is a huge anime nerd. So props up for that.
Oh, yeah, I saw the anime shirt. I saw the anime shirt there. So yeah.
Like, Lynn standing on otaku. Yes.
Right.
So
I guess she loves weebs.
In all seriousness, though, like, I like how this was a brand new lesson for Lynn to learn. And it's something that is outside of her realm. It's outside of sports. So I do like how they took this unique approach, this unique experimental direction on Lynn. And that's what really make me like this episode. And I can find it relatable.
For sure. All right, so yeah, another shot at love. Lynn didn't get a relationship, but either way, it did help learn about love for Lynn. Hopefully, she will get a boyfriend eventually in the future.
Francisco.
If he can ever come back,
Francisco. Let me shout in the void, Francisco.
Now let's move on to another episode of season 3. I believe this is actually like the answer to what happened to that one Squirrel episode. On Thin Ice, I would say, would be the episode where her superstitions comes back, but I believe it was reflected a whole lot better compared to the one in season 2. Omid, would you agree on that?
Yes. I would say that this is the Squirrel episode done right. Because for one thing, it's that, like, it's not just Lincoln that, gets the short end of the stick. It's pretty much like 3 of Lynn's family members who get dragged along with her. It's pretty much Lynn's 3 of her family members that sort of like, get the short end of the stick as well.
They got the superstitions with Lynn.
Yeah, that's one thing. The second thing is that, like, Lynn's superstitions, we've seen her actually learn this lesson. We've actually seen her learn that superstitions are not that legit. Something that could have been learned, should have been learned in the Squirrel episode. But I digress. So, honestly, it was nice to see, Lynn, of course, being her energetic spirit itself. Really getting into the game, dodging all these security guards, and pretty much high-fiving the hockey players. And, of course, the cherry on top is her beating her idol, who is pretty much this guy's pretty much the Wayne Gretzky of the Loud House, if you catch my drift.
Also, just a heads up, the person who was portrayed as like Lynn's hero actually is a real hockey player.
Yeah, exactly.
Because some good guest stars that we actually got from that episode. But yeah, I totally agree on this, that it definitely is a better episode than the season 2 episode that we all hate, because it definitely shows Lynn's superstitions in full bloom. Like she wears these like these bodyguards, they all like huddle up together in they all huddle up together in a sweatshirt. There was also some moments where actually a couple of the Louds actually did get into some of Lynn's superstitions. If you remember correctly, Lori did do a silly dance just to get them to win because of Lynn pretty much suggested that to him. So yeah, I mean, like every Loud pretty much got like the full end of like what Lynn's superstitions was, and yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that Lincoln, Luann, and Lynn Sr. actually all had to be a part of this one. Either way, it feels like, look, this is a much better reflection on how Lynn Jr. wants to see people win. So she had these superstitions like all popped up everywhere pretty much in this episode. And it was much better than actually punishing somebody because of a superstition.
Exactly. Like the thing is, the problem with that episode, the season 2 episode, was that in that episode, Lynn's superstitions were used as a plot device. They were used as a way to pretty much contrive the plot and to pretty much like I said, it was a way to sort of like as a plot device in order for Lincoln to come up with a scheme in order to fake being bad luck. Whereas here, the superstitions, like they go all out with it. They pretty much go all out with these superstitions for the sole purpose of showing us that superstitions are part of Lynn's character. So honestly, I would agree that on thin ice, pretty much this is a superstition episode that's done right.
Yeah, it was definitely done right. And, you know, it just tells you like how some characters who love sports, they really do have their own superstitions. And, you know, and it pretty much reflects well here with Lynn. No doubt about it. It is something with her character that she loves, that she is like crazy with superstitions. So sometimes she'll do this or that before a game. And, you know, it's just, that's how she is. So yeah, I would say most definitely something that I would say improved Lynn's character, especially when it comes to the superstitious part of Lynn.
Definitely.
All right, but anything else you want to bring up in season 4 for Lynn Jr.?
Nothing much I want to bring up. Actually, there's actually one thing I want to bring up is that there's continuity with Mr. Grouse watching the hockey game.
Yeah, I forgot about that player. Point. I forgot about that point, actually. Yeah.
Continuity from Good Sports. Yes, let's go.
Yeah, they finally put continuity. Oh my God, they finally put continuity. Am I right?
Lynn and Mr. Grouse bonding over sports again. Lynn and Mr. Grouse bonding over sports, watching sports together again.
I can't believe it, right? But then again, like that was from Good Sports, so it's like, yeah, they actually put some continuity. I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, I got nothing else about season 4. I think we pretty much covered all of Lynn in season 4. But let's actually head over to now. We're season 5. Look, everybody grew up. Lynn is still in junior high, which makes sense because it kind of tells you like 7th grade, so she moved up to 8th grade, and then probably she's about to graduate if we actually go another season of them growing up the same. So let's actually head over to Schooled. Yeah, let's head over to Schooled because now Lynn pretty much looks like a person who loves to commit to junior high. Look, she has a lot of like advantage, like she has a lot of like big roles to fill now. And the first thing that she does is actually become that hall monitor. And she actually is doing a pretty good job with it. Maybe a little bit too aggressive, but I would say did a pretty good job being the hall monitor. But the thing is that what I'm seeing here in this episode is like, wow, you really are taking your responsibility really well here. Omid, how did you like her as the responsible hall monitor here in Royal Woods Junior High?
Yeah, honestly, I felt that her portrayal in Schooled, I felt that they could have done more with Lynn in this episode. I feel that with Lynn, they used her in too small of a doses, to be honest. I understand that School is mainly focused on Lincoln, Lenny, and Lily. But I feel that with School, they could have had an opportunity to explore Lynn's junior high life as an 8th grader. Think about it. She's an class woman. She's an upperclassman of junior high. So I felt that there could have been something that we could have explored with Lynn. And pretty much we could have seen her much more, not just as a hall monitor, but also as sort of give Lincoln the tour, sort of be a big sister guide to Lincoln, because let's be honest, this is Lincoln's first time at junior high. So you could have had Lynn showing Lincoln the ropes, or you could have had Lynn pretty much be some sort of bodyguard to Lincoln. But instead she was just a hall monitor and just serves as an obstacle for Lincoln. But at least that she does help Lincoln get to Mr. Ballhauer's class quickly. Oh my God. But my God, Lynn as a hall monitor, she is ruthless. Let me tell you, She assumes her position in the hall. She protects all that are weak in the hall. Like she
Our
makes
rules will
sure
be
that always
enforced in
are
the hall.
in the hall. Oh my god. Yeah, let me tell you, she's on patrol. She's on patrol.
Okay.
She's
All
on
right,
patrol.
SpongeBob. All right, SpongeBob.
Oh god, I love that episode.
I mean, like, look, I believe this is actually something of a continuity from like City Bull, for example. Like, she has a responsibility of becoming a hall monitor. Like, she was responsible for being a babysitter for the quintuplets. I would say she's learning from that. Like, she's learning to become a full-on hall monitor, just taking care of people who don't have a hall pass. Even the principal, for example, who doesn't have a hall pass.
Even the principal, man. Even the principal.
Yeah, she took it to a huge degree when it comes to being the hall monitor. But it just tells you like how tough she is when it comes to big things like this. So yeah, I would say her character is really just portraying it a whole lot more here in Schooled. Yeah, a little bit. It's just a little bit of it, but I would say they really did lose a shot of actually just trying to make her look a little bit better, than what she was back in season two. But like I said, we just continue to see her grow, and this would have been a perfect shot for her to actually grow from all the things that happened for season 3 and 4. But instead, we ended up getting like obviously Lori, Lincoln, and Lily growing up. We do get Lenny having her side story, but Lynn having her side story. I think we could have done a whole lot better with that.
Yeah, honestly, exactly. They sort of like underused Lynn in this episode. They should have shown Lynn because she had much more potential than just to be the hall monitor, just to be the obstacle against Lincoln. I felt that like they should have like wasted her potential in a sense.
They should have done that, but you know what though? I mean, like, it was just one little small part of an episode, but like I said, it just continues to continues to tell me like how tough Lynn could be. But yeah, a little small part from School, but to say the least, Lynn is still Lynn, and I'm enjoying her ever since. I've enjoyed her ever since season 3. So yeah, it's continuing to still go up for Lynn in a way. So yeah, she only had a little small part in School, but she also did have her episodes as well. Cowpie Kid, for example, this is actually her first time actually leading a team. Like, she's a captain of a baseball team. So what does she do? Have to improve the team, obviously. So what does she do? Bring in a guy that you never expected to actually do well in baseball, Liam. And FYI, we never expect to see a Liam and Lynn episode. And here we go. What stood out to you? So what did you like about this episode? Because it just shows how Lynn is as a captain for a baseball team.
Now, I've said before that I really like this episode. It shows not only Lynn being likable, but also Liam being really likable as well, because Liam is a legit great teammate to have, not just because of his throw, not just because of his arm, but because of his overall attitude. Like, just how he tries his best and he doesn't want to disappoint his teammates and all that stuff. And of course, with Lynn, she's very impressed by his skills. So she takes him on her wing. And so she trains him and all that stuff. And pretty much her leadership gets tested at the end of the last third of the episode, in which she makes a decision to either get Liam to continue like pitching again, despite the fact that he has an arm injury, or just let Liam rest his arm and just whatever happens. And so Lynn thankfully decides to go with the latter, and it really shows great progression for her character, because she comes to learn that being a good leader means showing care towards your teammates. Now, technically, this lesson was already learned with net games, but with Cowpie Kid, it takes a different approach to it. There's a brand new lesson to be learned from it, and that's the fact that when your teammate is injured, no matter how good they are, you gotta let them rest up. You gotta let them heal their arms or something like that. And either you got to pitch yourself, or you got to have some other kid pitch for you. So I really like that Lynn learns even more lessons of how to be a considerate leader and a considerate captain.
Well, the thing is that I believe this is one of her beginning points where she becomes like that main captain, the main person that has to like lead a team to victory, for example. And we understand like from the episode beginning, the team was terrible. So to say the least, Lynn needed some help, and I just felt like this was a great moment. Just the fact that out of left field, would never expect to see like one of Lincoln's sisters actually bond with one of Lincoln's friends. Oh, one of Lincoln's sisters actually bonded with one of Lincoln's friends. And Liam and Lynn did hit it off. He throws a good cow pie or a good fastball, whatever you want to call it. It became the star pitcher. But the thing is that, again, Lynn starts to think about winning. And because of that, Liam continued to pitch every game. Of course, you do end up having a sore arm and everything. I just love the fact that in the end of it all, like, look, you're not going to push him to actually have like a career-ending injury. So you would obviously do the right thing and pull your star player out of the game in order for possibly a better pitcher or possibly a worse pitcher, which happened to Paula. And unfortunately, they did lose that game. Either way, I love the compliment at the end where, like, it may have been a bad move. It may have been something, bad where you lost, but you know what? That's still good leadership. That's from the guy who actually announced the game. And I'm like, wow, okay, cool. So yeah, she is starting to become a really good leader. And you know what? There have been some times actually in season 5 where Lynn actually does become that leader of a team. I mean, we'll talk about it later in Friday Night Fights, because I think she was also the leader of that team, if I remember correctly.
Star player, more like star player.
Or star player. But then again, she pretty much was like saying, hey, my teammate's doing pretty well. We just need a good coach in that episode. But yeah, no doubt about it. I think this is like where Lynn's leadership is tested. And you know what? She makes it work. Yeah, she could be a little bit selfish and just say like, hey, we want you to just continue to pitch you to win. But decisions like what she did at the end, even if a loss happens, it's still something that, just tells me that she is improving. That she's really improving.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, she continues to progress and progress. Like the more episodes we get, as the series progresses, Lynn progresses as well. So I really like that.
Mm-hmm. And no doubt about it, I would say this is the start of what I would say starts like Lynn's increase in. Well, not really. It already started to increase like our love for Lynn. Even before this episode even aired.
Way before.
So way before that. So Cowboy Kid was pretty much a test of Lynn's leadership. Although when it comes to the next episode that we're going to discuss, we never expected Lynn to actually have a weakness. Hurl Interrupted was interesting because it shows Lynn scared of hurling, something that she fears. That's why she, tries to drag her friends to not ride a roller coaster. Interesting little episode here. How did you like this episode? We were expecting something that Lynn was really scared of.
Okay, now as for the plot itself, I felt that Lynn having a fear of hurling of all things, it was sort of, a tad far-fetched, honestly, because here's the thing. This is a girl who is very much into extreme sports, who is very much into like eating as much food, eating really spicy food, and pretty much eating as much protein as possible. Like, this is a girl who really, does it all. And so, of course, when you do it all, of course, there's a chance that you may throw up, like, especially when you overdo it. So honestly, Lynn having a fear of throwing up, I don't know. It's not really something that I would necessarily buy at first. It's not really something that came naturally. I felt that it was just sort of a way to give Lynn a fear, just because everyone's got to have a fear. And so I understand that even the toughest of jocks, even the toughest of people have fears as well. But I felt that with Lynn's fear, it could have been something more suitable for her. Like, honestly, I think she's more fearful of losing than hurling in my opinion.
I
But I do like how she does learn a lesson at the end, of course, that you gotta admit your fear, of course, and all that stuff. But I just felt that they could have gotten her a much more suitable fear, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like, maybe like the fear of roller coasters would have been a much better option because, yeah, I understand people are scared of roller coasters. That's why they skip out. Like Paula, for example, she's scared of roller coasters. But hurling? I'm like, really? I'm guessing it's something that they, I never expected to see from Lynn because, yeah, you're a tough girl. And throughout the whole episode, pretty much Lynn was just trying to avoid the roller coaster at all instead of just like coming out and saying like, hey, I'm scared of hurling. Not scared of roller coasters.
Honestly, if they had went with the fear of roller coasters, it would have been much more better than the hurling. But I felt that if they went with the roller coaster fear, it honestly would have sort of contradicted with Intense Debate. Because if you remember Intense Debate, she was actually one of the ones that was part of Team Dairyland. And with Dairyland, of course, most of the rides are roller coasters. So
no,
I felt that
really,
even that would have been far-fetched.
Well, not really. It's pretty much a theme park. It's pretty much like saying go to Disneyland instead of going to the beach.
Well, I sort of get that. I get that, but like throughout most amusement parks, like a good chunk, at least a good chunk, like at least half of the rides are roller coasters in a sense.
You can't really assume that though.
So I feel that like with Lynn's fear, it could have been like much better than hurling.
Yeah, like I said, it was just some sort of weakness that I thought was like really unnecessary. It just pretty much shows that Lynn loves to hide her weaknesses because, yeah, you want to see her as a tough person, but sometimes you do need to actually say that, hey, I'm scared of this. So yeah, this is a weakness that no one expected. And throughout the episode, I was just saying like, Lynn, just man up and actually just say that you're scared of this. They're gonna be okay with it. But then again, like that also contradicts like why they were teasing Paula too.
Exactly. Like I felt that it was sort of weird how when Paula admits that she was afraid to go on the ride, Marco and Maddie were pretty much teasing her in a sense. But then I felt that like right after they teased her, Marco and Maddie would have been like, "Oh, we're just kidding with you. We're just teasing with you." That way,
yeah.
That way, it would have been much easier for Lynn herself to admit her fear. Right on the spot.
Right. But either way, I mean, like, not one of my favorite episodes though, but just tells you like, even if you're weak, you need to still admit the fact that you still are weak. You still are scared, so that everyone can understand, like, you're scared and stuff, and we're okay with it. Not like tease like what Paula did, unfortunately. Now, one more episode that we want to get through because it's pretty much the end of season 5 at the moment. Because there's still more episodes to go with season 5, and that will be Friday Night Fights. That one, I think, would be her first shot at bonding with one of her sisters. Well, there might have been more episodes where like Lynn and another sister actually bonded, but I believe this one was actually one that I thought was like really more impactful. Because yeah, it's Lisa coaching the team. Lisa did a bad job. Lynn gets so passionate that she fired Lisa, and Lisa got hella emotional about it. And so many things happened in this episode that I thought was like, whoa. Really an emotional roller coaster between these two. How did you like Lynn showed in this episode?
I really do like Lynn's role in this one because, for one thing, it shows how far she's come ever since season 1 and season 2. It shows the amount of progress that she had. It shows how much she truly cares about her teammates. It shows how much she truly cares about her team. And it really shows because when Lisa mentioned to Lynn about trading her friends, Lynn got legitimately upset at her because, like even though they weren't the most skilled, at the end of the day, they were her close friends. They were who she had the closest bond with in terms of playing these sports. So, of course, when things don't go so well with the new teammates, that's when Lynn decided, I don't need your help anymore. You're fired. That's when Lisa like she feels like she let down her sister, and like this was the most raw emotional we've seen of Lisa. Like, my God, the tears, man, the tears are something. And so Lisa after an epiphany, like after that one scene where Burpin Burger, where she they parody this drunken fired coach. She then sees Lynn's friends having fun, and then Lisa finally realizes that even though she got the mathematics, the logistics right, what's really important in terms of a sport, in terms of team, is fun. And so in order to get the fun back, she pretty much gives Lynn her teammates back. And so they pretty much continue on as, go back to normal and all that stuff. So I really do like that. I really do like how we finally see a Lynn and Lisa episode, because it really shows how when you have the Loud with the most brawn and the Loud with the most brains working together, they are dominant. They are unstoppable, honestly. And I also like how the episode puts a twist on the episode, because when you first look at the episode itself, you think to yourself, okay, so it's going to be Lynn learning to use her smarts. You can't be all brawn all the time. You got to use brains as well, because football is about strategy and all this stuff. I like how instead of going with that route, they have Lisa learning a lesson of her own instead, because it really shows how even the brainiest of characters, even the smartest of characters, have their own flaws as well, and they have their own lessons that they need to learn as well.
I was pretty shocked about how this episode was. Just the fact that, Lisa did get emotional and stuff, because you never actually see raw emotion that Lisa actually brings out. Either way, it does make sense why Lynn had to make this move, because look, they're losing, but at the same time, they were still having fun. Look, they were only down by 4 points one game when Lisa actually coached, and Lynn started to become, just a team player. Look, I think she was still becoming that team player. Hey, I love my team. I love Paula. I love Maggie. I love Margot. I love having these guys on my team, playing football with them. And we were progressing really well. Even if we were losing so badly, as long as we had Lisa as a coach, we actually did improve. But then the team chemistry got way off. They pretty much kept their star, Lynn Jr., but everybody else got traded. I can't believe you actually could get traded in junior high, for example. But it was so straight. It was why would you do that? Lisa, I understand it's just for more of skill, or more talent to say, but brawn and brains don't matter. The team chemistry is what matters. And of course, Lynn didn't have it. And of course, it had some raw emotion for Lynn as well, where she's like, I had enough of your moves, you're fired. Yeah, it may have been such an emotional toll for Lisa, but at the same time, I think it was necessary. Just the fact that it's something that Lisa screwed up on, that she needs to actually bring the teammates back in order for Lynn to actually be happy in the team. So yeah, I would say most definitely these sister bonding episodes that we have in the Loud House are absolutely working. And I believe this definitely shows another side for Lynn being a star player, and that the star player needs to have really good people in order for this team chemistry to work out. It definitely shows here in Friday Night Fights, most as a really good example.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I really like Friday Night Fights. It's definitely one of the better Lynn episodes for me, and especially with her chemistry with Lisa.
Yeah, and we hope we get more those sister bond episodes. Hopefully, Lynn bonds with another character, possibly. I don't know who. Maybe Little Lucy. Okay. Well, they did have one with what was that one? Was it Space Invader? That episode.
Yeah, I really like that episode as well. Yeah, Space Invader. That's a classic.
Yeah, and there could be more Lynn maybe hanging out with Letty more, maybe fashion or something like that. Maybe we need more of those sister bonding episodes if possible.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
All right, now, of course, we're pretty much done with covering up all of the Lynn episodes. At the moment right now, season 5 is still going on, which means it's time for us to actually think about what we think of Lynn Jr. and how her future is going to be. So we'll start off with you, Amid. How do you think of Lynn's future? How is she going to be from season 5, from the end of season 5 of The Loud House and moving onward to season 6 and beyond?
Now, of course, when she graduates junior high, she's going to move to high school, and she's going to find out that high school is even worse than when she first entered junior high. High school is going to be whole new ball game. she's going to face her usual, like, she's going to face more trials and tribulations in terms of being a star athlete, especially when she's a high school freshman and she sees like all these female jocks, all these female athletes who are bigger and stronger than her. So I would imagine Lynn's sports athlete arc continuing on, but taking a different approach with it, like learning brand new lessons that she would when she's in high school, which is, I think one of the episodes that would come to mind is that when Lynn enters as a freshman in high school, she's ready to take on the world because she's tough and all that. She sort of like overestimates herself. She underestimates high school. And so she finds that like the sophomores, juniors, and seniors, they're not going to take so kindly to her. So she works really hard to prove herself. But at the end of the day, hopefully she'll come to the realization that, like, there's just some people you just can't beat anyways, because they're much more experienced than you. They're much more stronger than you and all this stuff. So I think one of the important lessons that Lynn could potentially learn is that instead of comparing yourself to others, try comparing yourself to, well, yourself. Like, make your own progression. Of course, you're not gonna beat these stronger, bigger female athletes. So, just continue working on you, and when you become their age, you'll become just as strong as they were.
Yeah, so I have some potential ideas of like what Lynn will do, because like, yeah, she'll go into high school, but I do want to see an episode where like Lynn tries out. Like, you always see her like always get into the team for junior high and stuff, but then like in high school it'll probably be a whole different level, because the thing is, like, she'll be coming in as a freshman. She'll probably like compete in any sport that she wants to, like soccer, football, baseball, for example. What if she never got in? And because of the seniority part, like, oh, this person's better because she has more experience as a high school baseball player. She has to learn that, by the way. It's like, why am I not accepted? I'm like an awesome baseball player, and she's obviously going to like question it, try to get better. But I think in the end, she'll have to accept the fact that she'll not get into the team probably until your sophomore year, because you're just learning as a freshman, and we just couldn't be able to get you in a team, for example. There's a lot of excuses when you're joining into a high school team that always pops up, and they're actually pretty reasonable excuses. And I think Lynn needs to actually learn a lesson where it's like, you can't be accepted all the time in a sports team. I think that's one.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I want to see coming into, like, if they're ever gonna go like have Lynn actually go into like high school. That would be a really like awesome thing to see. I would love to see though that she would actually be like an Olympic star. She could actually be like a track star. She could be playing in the women's basketball league. She could be like any of those things. I could see like a flash forward like dream where like Lynn was going to be like the all-star in the WNBA.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, an Olympic star would actually be like a really good case for her, because like she's so athletic. She could do like any sport, any summer sport, any winter sport. She could like work in hockey, for example, or like be a good basketball star, or, just do track and field. I mean, any of those could give you like a medal. I can see her winning like a lot of medals, be the next Michael Phelps, for example. Although, to be honest, I haven't seen her swim. So maybe you could probably see her do a swimming thing. Maybe she's scared of water. Maybe she's scared of water.
I don't know if I would buy that she is has a fear of swimming, because remember Linker swim. We've seen her swim just fine.
Yeah, well, no. Well, she's just pretty much in a pool. This is not an Olympic pool. Olympic pools are like bigger. So
okay, that's true.
Yeah, this is just a kiddie
I think
pool.
More like Olympic swimming, she would probably be more fearful of, rather than regular swimming in a small pool.
Now, I'm also thinking about like who's Lynn's squad. I would imagine Paula, Margot, and Maddie are going to be pretty much Lynn's squad. So like if we're going to the next season and they're going to high school, Lynn's squad is probably going to still be together. Am I going to see Paula out of that cast? Yes, I hope so.
I hope so too.
Yeah,
I hope so
look,
too.
She's been in that cast for years. I know the trope here. I know the trope is a disabled person, but eventually she's going to get that healed. I would imagine it being healed, and then look at her become a star. By the way, look at her become like the next tall person for a basketball team, or like the next soccer star because of her leg pretty much like out of the cast. And also, she was also playing baseball, so I imagine like her being so good at baseball now after the cast is off. I would imagine her being the next star. And then FYI, it could be like another test for Lynn not being jealous.
Yes. Yeah, honestly, like I said, it could be a similar lesson that she would learn in Hero to Take On Tomorrow, but take a different approach with it. Don't make it a rehash of that episode.
Yeah, don't make it a rehash of that episode, but to say the least, like, maybe Lynn could be a little bit jealous of like, Paula's not being the star. And then I think Paula's way of like reasoning with Lynn will be a whole lot different compared to what she did with Margot. So True. I can see that happening. Yeah. I got nothing else to say. I mean, like, it feels like Lynn Loud Jr. is just going to be mostly about sports, unless you have anything else you want to bring up.
Not that much I want to bring up in terms of her being in high school. Just a simple fact that, like, of course, we all wish Lynn Sanity the best and hope she thrives in high school.
Yeah. In the future. And FYI, I would imagine he will probably have a boyfriend in high school. If it's Francisco, that'd be awesome. If it's Francisco, that'd be awesome.
Please be Francisco. Please be Francisco.
Also, I've been noticing on our chat, people are liking Clyde and Lynn. Do you think that could happen?
I think there are more. I think there are much more suitable women for Clyde. Slide.
Hey, you want Sid and Clyde, huh?
Like, I'm not usually into crack. I'm not usually into crack ships. I'm not usually into crack ships, but I consider that this an exception.
Look, it's a long shot for me. FYI, where's Chloe? We need her back. Can we bring her back, please? She cannot be in the waste bin, please.
we haven't seen Chloe for some reason.
Well, like, she did appear. She only appeared in Election, only for like that little small significant like role there. Like, that's it. I mean,
yeah, it had nothing to do with Clyde at all. It had nothing to do with Clyde at all. That's the problem.
We just hope that she actually comes back because I want that ship to happen, like Clyde and like Clyde and Chloe, hopefully.
Leave it up to the writers to decide if they want it.
Don't you dare hurt my feelings on this one. Brave the Last Dance was a pretty good episode.
I liked it too.
All right, well, that's pretty much it. I was looking into our question. I was looking into our fan reactions question, but not a lot of answers were given out, so we're going to skip that tonight. All right. Well, anyways, thank you very much for checking out our stream. For those who are watching on YouTube, thank you very much for checking us out here. Just a little heads up, we'll be, if you are listening to our podcast on our podcast providers, just remember that you can listen to it on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, and our Loudcast Talks will be there for you whenever you're ready to listen. And you can also check out our YouTube channel as well. Remember to subscribe to us, to check out all of our videos, and also hit the bell button whenever we go live. We do have brand new episodes of the Casa Grandes that also happened this Friday. So we're going to do another episode reviews and previews. I think we're going to really review Prankiversary for sure.
Yes.
That was a good one. I think that was a good, Sidani Kid episode to say.
Yes, and especially touching upon one character of the trio, like one of them especially stood out in this episode for reasons we're going to talk about later on.
Yeah, so don't miss out on this Thursday. We're going to be doing an episode reviews and previews. On the 24th at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Next Sunday, by the way, we're going to take a little break. We're going to not talk about any Loud sibling. We're going to actually just do another Ask Us Anything live stream. So just give us some questions about Loud House, Casa Grandes, or any cartoons that you're into. Just give us any questions during our stream, and we will be glad to answer them. So, yeah, be on the chat next Sunday. I don't know what time we're going to start it. Maybe at 6 like we did today. And, yeah, just ask us anything. Just ask us, like, whatever we like. Like, say, hey, do you like Stella Kid? Like, of course I do. Do you like Sam and Luna? Of course I do. Et cetera, that kind of stuff.
Bro, I do especially, man. I do.
And also, we can also take like any questions. We'll monitor the chat and see what we can accept, and we'll put it up here on screen, so we'll answer it for you. And then
so the Q&A, baby, Q&A.
Yeah. And that's also a Loud Casa Talks episode, by the way. So yeah, get some good questions for us if you guys are really wanting some juicy stuff. And also a heads up, we're also going to have our season finale. And of course, it's going to be all about who's the next sibling down after Lynn Jr. Lincoln Loud. So we are going to do a Lincoln Loud episode. That's going to be our season finale. We're not going to do episodes after Lincoln. So like Lucy, Lola, Lotta, Lisa, and Lily, because there's still a lot more information that we need to actually watch. Like we need more episodes of them in order for us to actually give some more analysis of that. That's why we're going to give those guys more analysis. We need more episodes of them before we can actually have an episode just like what we're having right now. So yeah, season finale will be Lincoln Loud. We're going to be a lot to discuss about, especially season 1, knowing that he has a lot in season 1. And yeah, that's how our season finale is going to be. So don't miss out on it. On July 11th, that's going to be our finale day. And then we'll be back in October to do more episodes of Loud Casa Talks. But anyways, yeah, that's how the schedule is going to be.
Yeah, so pretty much get hyped, get excited, and get ready for more Loud Chronic Casa Guru, because there's going to be a whole lot more coming your way.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for us here. So thank you very much for checking out the stream. My name is Nate.
And this is Omid saying thank you all so much for your support. Thank you all so much for watching. And once again, happy Father's Day to all the dads, uncles, grandpas, and every one of you dads out there taking care of your kids. You know, you are just as much of a star players. You are just as much MVPs as Lynn Sanity herself. So I just want to say happy Father's Day to every single one of you. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, smell you later, dudes.